So, uh, so all the people out there who are arguing that the medical system is not trying to hurt you, it's not trying to keep you sick, so that they can profit off of your illness, that childhood vaccines are okay, and that the medical system wouldn't put them out if they were not 100% safe and 100% effective. Please explain to me why the medical system is suing RFK because he said that the COVID vaccine is no longer mandatory. He didn't say you couldn't have it. He didn't say you shouldn't have it. He just said we're not going to force children to take the COVID vaccine. Now, we like to talk about how there's no real research on any of the childhood vaccines and that we don't know if they're safe or effective. So now you've got to argue to me that the COVID vaccine is safe and effective. That's the argument you got to make. If you're going to say, no, the government's not trying to hurt us. It's not trying to decrease the population. It's not trying to, make us all sick and miserable. So we have to then pay, for our health back. And so they can just suck all the cash out of us and make us all miserable. The argument, we're getting to the point now where it's kind of laughable. When the FDA, the medical system came out and said, no, Lucky Charms is better for you than steak is. We all kind of went, ha, ha, ha. When I said we should base our entire existence, every single person, the vast majority of the things you eat need to be high complex carbohydrate, high glycemic carbohydrates from breads. We were like, meh, but now that they're coming out and they're being like, no. By not forcing children to take the COVID vaccine, we're all bad people. That's what we're being told. That's what RFK is getting sued for. So I can't wait to hear how you guys are going to argue that, yes, we should be forcing children to take the COVID vaccine. Let's just walk through the safe and effective. So it's pregnant women and children. That's what this argument is about. Now, just do just a small amount of research on miscarriages, stillbirths after taking the COVID vaccine. There's lots and lots and lots of reports about that. There's some research that's been done on it. There's lots of good information about how horrible of an idea it is for pregnant women to take vaccines, unless your goal is to, cause miscarriages, decrease the birth rate, decrease fertility, and decrease the population of the planet. In that case, COVID vaccine is fantastic for that. But that's what they're trying to say. They're suing him because he said that it's not mandatory for pregnant women and children now. And look at this thing. They've lied to us all the way through. All the way through. They said it's going to, just all you have to do is just take the vaccine and it stops COVID. Stops transmission. You can't get sick if you take the COVID vaccine. That was a lie. They knew that was a lie when they said it. They talked about this in Congress. Also, they said that it will prevent you from getting sick. And if you get sick, you won't get a sick bad. That was proven to be a lie. They said that it's not going to hurt you. The rates of myocarditis, the rates of heart attack, the rates of stroke, the rates of cancer, the rates of everything from people who have miscarriages, from people who have taken this vaccine is substantially higher than people who didn't take the vaccine. You want to do a research study? Look at everybody who took the COVID vaccine versus everybody who didn't, and just be like, all right, which one of these groups is healthier? It's pretty easy. No one talked about SADS, sudden adult death syndrome. No one talked about SADS before the COVID vaccine. You know what we did talk about? SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And we were like, that's from vaccines. And people were like, you're crazy. And then we got the adult vaccine for COVID, and a lot of adults started dying from SADS. And we were like, I don't know what this is caused by. Yes, we do. It's caused from the inflammation that damages the brain, that damages the pons, decreases the body's ability to breathe while you're asleep, damages the autonomic nervous system. So you stop breathing. You get centralized apnea and you die. This is the vaccine that has been shown so far to have zero impact on decreasing the spread of the virus, zero impact on decreasing severity, and zero impact on keeping you in any way healthy from COVID. However, has also been showing in massive amounts of evidence that it's causing all sorts of death. And the medical system, the medical industry is suing RFK for saying that your kids and your pregnant wives and the pregnant women out there don't have to take it. This is what the lawsuit's about. He didn't say you couldn't take it. He didn't say you shouldn't take it. He straight up said it doesn't have to be on the mandated list. And they sued him for it. And they're like, no, it has to be on the mandated list. Why? Not because they're trying to increase health. I think we all have a pretty solid understanding that the COVID vaccine doesn't increase health. So why are they so mad? Because their whole goal is to keep you sick and keep you, on a bunch of different pharmaceuticals for the rest of your entire life. They spent a lot of money pushing this vaccine out. They want to make their billions and billions and billions of dollars every year because they also are trying to thin the population. Like I keep saying this, Gates is a big part of this whole deal. Like if you look up Gates and vaccines, Gates, Foundation, lots and lots and lots and lots of work on vaccines. And Gates is part of what's going on with the COVID vaccine. And Gates said him and his team, Fauci and all those guys, him and his team's goal, this is in the 2008 TED Talk, just Google Bill Gates 2008 TED Talk. And he came out and he said the goal was to decrease the population of the earth by 15% using vaccines. And now we've got a COVID vaccine, which is radically damaging fertility, causing massive amounts of miscarriages and stillbirths, and causing all sorts of issues with heart attacks and strokes and all sorts of issues. So yeah, it's going to kill a lot of people and it's going to prevent a lot of people from being born, which would decrease the population of the planet. So that was the goal. And now, because RFK said, you know what, that's not a mandatory thing. The medical system has sued RFK. But think about this. Remember, all the pediatricians get paid these big bonuses that we keep talking about, these hundreds and thousands of dollars. If you've got one of those practices with 6 or 7 pediatricians, it could be $1 million a year. Those bonuses would go away if they didn't vaccinate every single kid who came in with the COVID vaccine. So just with what you as the lay person or the person who likes health or whatever, as you're sitting there, just think, if I'm trying to increase the health of the population, do I think injecting every baby and every pregnant woman with the COVID vaccine is going to get us closer to a healthy society or further away from a healthy society? Do you think it's going to be beneficial for these women, to carry a baby to term and have a healthy baby? Or do I think it's going to be detrimental from the research that's out and the things that are out? I think it's pretty obvious that taking the COVID vaccine when you're pregnant or giving the COVID vaccine to children is a bad idea. Because again, it's not going to help decrease the amount of times you get sick from COVID, but it is, from what we're seeing, radically going to increase your chances of cancer, heart attack, stroke, myocarditis, and miscarriages. So this is where the fight is right now. And so anybody who's out there arguing that childhood vaccines have been researched and they're great, now you have to argue that you're in favor of the COVID vaccine for children. That's what you got to do. Oh, no, the childhood vaccine schedule is right. All right, now you got to argue that the COVID vaccine is something that you want in all the children. With all the evidence out there, all the research out there, all the things that are out, that it doesn't help with transmission, it doesn't help keep you safe, and it is wildly dangerous. Now you're arguing that, with all that information, you're arguing that should be with the rest of the childhood vaccines. Do you now understand why we're like, hey, look, why don't we, because we can't trust the medical industry, why don't we actually do the testing on these things? It's never been done. Because all these doctors who are like, oh, I've read the research on vaccines and they're totally safe and they're effective. Great, show us the research. Oh, we don't have the research. I read it from a guy I trust. Or my school told me, and I trust my school that taught us these things. Where does your school get its funding and its curriculum? Oh, from the FDA and the NIH and the CDC. Where do they get it? Mostly from the pharmaceutical companies. All right, great. So our pharmaceutical companies are directly teaching our doctors how to doctor. Okay. Off research that no one has. Like I keep asking, like, show me this research that shows that childhood vaccines are safe. And no one has it. They'll argue, oh, it's out there. Well, show it to me. Well, you're just not smart enough to read it. Fine, bring it to me. I've got smart people that, I've got a lot of people we can have read it. It doesn't exist. So I want you guys to understand the childhood vaccine argument about how those vaccines are problematic and we need to research them is the same argument now, except for what the medical system is saying is that the COVID vaccine is just as safe as all the other childhood vaccines, which I would agree with. However, I'm going to tell you that the childhood vaccines are not very safe because the research on them is non-existent. And what we have seen, which is, I'll grant you, anecdotal, because again, the research doesn't exist, is that these things are pretty bad for your kids. And there's no study saying that they're effective. There's no study saying that they're safe. None. So the same group of people who are telling you that childhood vaccines are safe are saying that COVID vaccine is safe and effective and should be added to the mandatory list your kids have to get. So that's where we're at. So if you guys want to keep arguing that childhood vaccines are safe and effective and the medical system will never do anything as foolish as to put damaging vaccines out and make them mandatory, all right, then you've got to argue to me that you think the COVID vaccine is safe and effective. Go ahead and have fun with that. So that's where we are. That's kind of where we're at right now. If you guys are not keeping up with all the stuff that's going on with RFK and with the country, but that's what's going on. So I wouldn't even take your kids in to get vaccinated. I wouldn't even take them in for these well checks because they're going to start slipping in without you knowing these COVID vaccines. And if you don't want your kids to get COVID vaccines, I would not take them to the pediatrician. I would not get them vaccinated at all because a lot of these things are starting to mix them in. They're starting to be like, oh, it's not 3 or 4 shots. It's just the one now. Yeah. And these COVID shots are going to be starting to be mixed in with all this other stuff. So if you believe the COVID vaccine is safe and effective, go ahead and go get vaccinated. Go ahead, go do it. Like that's your prerogative. Knock it out. But if you don't think it's safe, just know that your kids, there's a lawsuit right now trying to force the government to force every pediatrician to vaccinate your kids with COVID. And so right now it's still on the schedule. And so your pediatricians probably won't get their bonuses unless your kids get the COVID vaccine. Put that in and think about that for a minute before you go get your kids vaccinated. All right, that's kind of where we're at. Share this with everybody. Make sure everybody understands where we're at and the fact that, yes, the government is the medical system is trying to keep you sick so they can profit off of your illness. And we talked about how to fix diabetes on Monday, talked about how to walk back dementia yesterday. You haven't heard any of that information again because it's more valuable to keep people sick right now than it is to actually help them. I realize that's going to take a long time for everybody to kind of wrap their heads around, but that's where we're at. So if you guys have any questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com. And if you guys need help kind of putting everything back together, you guys want to run the Pillars path, give us a call and we'll get you guys healthy and keep you guys healthy, teach you guys how to keep your families healthy. All right, you guys have a fabulous day. Thanks for your time.